Welcome to Be Out.
MBC.
Welcome to the show, Black Republican, Black Democrat. I'm your co-host, Jamar Nelson.
I'm your other host, A.K. Kamar.
And why you had to say host? Because you're a Republican.
Yeah, man, because you said co, so I was like, I'm the host.
Oh,
man.
please. Negro, please. What's going on, bro?
Not much, man.
How you doing?
Doing, man. How was your week from last week?
Well, you know, I spent my 4 days in sunny California.
Oh, for real? You were in California? In sunny California. So you didn't go to State Fair?
No, I got high instead.
Yeah, I went to State Fair, do all the food. It was crazy, though, because when me and my wife and her sister and kids, my sister went, basically it was like ghost town, bro.
Really? What time did you go?
Like, we were there from 1 to like 5:30. And again, it was Thursday. My niece came too. But yeah, man, I mean, every place that we went, it was just, you get right in, bro.
Well, it's usually that at those hours, dude, is when the gray hairs go. So no wonder you didn't see anybody. Of course.
What are you talking about, man? Like usually you go
That's
there.
when the gray hairs go from 1 to 5. That's like going to. It's like you might as well went to Sunday.
We
you might as well went to church too afterwards.
Till like 6:30, I guess. So maybe a little bit later than that. But it was chill.
You got to hang out at night so that you can see a couple of fights or something when it goes on down there. That's when you get. That's
I was there.
action.
I was there on Saturday, volunteering at the Republican Party booth. But
oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, no, it was actually busy. It felt like a normal time at that time. Like there was lines everywhere, people getting wild. But yeah,
bless your heart. Bless your heart. You just keep on with your party. Bless your heart.
You got it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I don't know what's crazy though is that I was kind of wondering if there'd be a lot of folks, and maybe it's because it was Saturday and it was the late night because I did like 5 to 9 type of shift. But honestly, like when I was talking to other people that have been volunteering, they're like, no one's really came and talked about any of the stuff that's been going on, like the previous chair resigning, the allegations.
Well, nobody at the state fair. That's why.
But I'm saying it was busy. I mean, it's funny because like the funniest people watching that I like to do is like I'll be chilling there, volunteering at the booth, and you'll see like these liberals, younger Democrats will always come up, and you can see who they are, right? Like they're kind of like talking back and forth, and they come up, and it's like they want to say something, and then they just like flip the bird and then walk away. And it's like step back over here. I'm like, don't lose all your
I
courage.
love to walk by y'all's booth and see the right person, and I walk up because I don't have to say who I am.
You
It's
talk to who you.
okay, yeah. Well, let's talk there. I don't have time, Jamar. I don't have time. Oh, you don't have time. Okay. Yeah. Well, of course not. Let's pay some bills.
Let's pay some bills, man.
If you're hungry, or you need a little parchment of a drink.
Yeah.
This is only a soft drink.
That's a soft drink, right? That's what they provide of beverages.
Where would you buy it at?
You would go to the Weber Mart. Head
Weber
on over
Mart?
to the Weber Mart. They got milk, eggs, convenience store, everything that you would have in a typical convenience store. But please patronize them, visit them, give them some business. But head over to the Weber Mart if you need any convenience items.
The Weber Mart, absolutely, the Weber Mart. And where else? If you're hungry tonight, you should probably get some vittles from
Egg Roll Queen.
the where?
The Egg Roll Queen. But no, for real, they got really good egg rolls, large size, specialty orders. If you haven't checked them out yet, please head on over, find them on Facebook, connect with them, be able to get some bomb egg rolls.
Absolutely, especially egg rolls. Make sure you check out the Egg Roll Queen. Tonight's guest is candidate for MNGOP. You know, you guys are engulfed in a lot of controversy right now. Like Prince's song used to be my old theme song. Controversy. I used to think it said count your blessings. That's what y'all should be doing.
Counting our blessings.
Count your blessings. Yeah. So there's a lot of people stepping up right now, and tonight's guest is one of the candidates for MNGOP chair. He's running for Senate, didn't he?
Well, he was a state rep, and then
He
he
ran
for U.S. Senate.
Yeah, he ran for U.S. Senate. He beat my guy. Well, anybody, a dog catcher could have beat my guy. Let's welcome to the show Jim Newberger, who's been kind enough to step out of a heated meeting to speak to us tonight. So welcome to the show, Jim. Thanks for joining us.
Gentlemen, thank you. It's so nice to see you guys and to talk to you. I was in a meeting. I apologize. I'm in my 2008 Chevy Impala, coming to you live from Orrock, Minnesota. Do you know where that is?
No, and please don't say those names again. They don't sponsor here either.
No, I have no idea. But let me ask you what county is Orrock in?
Yeah, Orrock. It's just north of Big Lake. It's
Okay.
if you blink, you're gonna miss it. So, no, but we had a really big meeting tonight, and I had to go to it. I really wanted to come down to see you guys in person at the studio. That's what I prefer. But due to the miracle of technology and the cell tower that's right there,
You're here.
Works out, man.
You're here. No, absolutely. And again, thanks for being on. Let's get right to it, Jim. Again, as I spoke of earlier, you're right now running for MNGOP chair. There's a couple more cats that's running. I know Rep Munson is running, and who else is running?
Honestly, I haven't.
There's another guy that's he's Senate. He's state senator. Jim, do you know who else is running? I know Munson's talking about it, and then there's someone else.
David Han and Forrest Hyatt.
Oh, really?
And another gentleman, his name is I believe it's Denninger.
Huh.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
losers.
Good guys. I like them all. I really do. I'm not saying that.
What else are you gonna say, Jim?
Well,
Of course you like them. Yeah. Well, you're running for party chair. You better not dislike anybody right now. But you guys are mired in a lot of controversy right now. You just had the chair resigned under a cloud of BS and serious allegations and accusations. Why will you be different, and how will you be different as party chair?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. I'm a grassroots guy. I've been involved on the grassroots level for 14 years. I was a volunteer. I've marched in so many parades. I've lost count. I've lit dropped. I've door knocked. You name it, I've done it. I've been a local party chair. I've been a congressional district deputy chair. I know what we need to do as a party. I understand the grassroots activist side. There are a lot of folks that get into this position with not a lot of background in that. I have been growing in the grassroots. I also have the legislative side where I served in the Minnesota House for 6 years. I understand the swamp in St. Paul. I understand how things work there. I understand the unique pressures that our legislators go through and the things that that their families go through. I also ran for U.S. Senate, and I know what it's like to have to be on the road for 18 straight months. When you're all over the state, I understand that, and I can bring the whole thing together. Not many people can do that. And the reason why I'm running is because I really care about our party. We've got a lot of great people. We've got a lot of great solutions. And we are coming up on a very pivotal moment in this decade. Because as you know, every 10 years we have redistricting, and all of the district lines are going to change. Everything changes. There are going to be new precinct caucuses. There's going to be new conventions on the local level, also on the CD level, state level. The whole deck, the entire deck gets reshuffled. And I've been through that. I know what we need to do to make this work, to pull this off without a hitch. The other guys that are running, some of them have some of that experience. I'm the only one that brings it all. And it would only be for a 14-month term. I'm not looking for some long term, I want to be in for 6 or 8 years or build some kind of dynasty. I just want to get in there to make this thing better, because I was a medic. I don't know if your listeners or your viewers know, but I was a North Minneapolis. I can't say my old employer. I was a North Minneapolis paramedic for 30 years. I know the North Side. And I bring a level of experience, not only to the greater Minnesota area, but I also bring a level of experience to the city. And I understand the mentality. I think I'm the only candidate that I know that actually door knocked North Minneapolis in 2018 for the U.S. Senate race.
Well, we'll talk about that too, but you don't have all day. Okay, again though, by being a short term, and you saying that you won't want to do it 6 or 8 years. If I'm a Republican, God bless, and I'm not. If I'm a Republican, you just saying that scares me, because I want a guy or a gal that's going to come in for the long haul, that's going to seriously rebuild the party. Right. You guys are going through a crisis, so I don't want some Johnny come lately coming in saying, "Look, I'm only going to do the 18 months," because it's going to take a lot to undo what has happened. I mean, you don't win statewide elections very well. I mean, yes, she got you out of debt, but you don't got much money now. It's about raising money. She didn't do that. She wasn't very liked. You have to have a party chair that is like she was a part of running inept candidates. No one seems to think that was her job, to put her thumb on candidates that were bad. So let me just ask you flat out. If there's a bad candidate and you're the chair, will you, maybe not personally, but will you try to, because it's important. All races now are so important. As a party chair, you know that some gothic idiot, like, I can't think of the guy's name, Christopher what's-his-face, if he runs again, will you step in, especially for a real race, against an Ilhan or somebody like that? Will you step in as party chair and say, you shouldn't run, you're going to lose us the race?
I am certainly entitled to my opinion, but I'm a firm believer in how our party works. And the party chair is the last person that should step in to do this, because people are endorsed and nominated from the grassroots. And people I used to be one of these people, and I agree with it. There is a purity test that every candidate has to pass. It's called an endorsement. Yep. And they have to pass this. If the delegates, the duly elected precinct delegates, endorse a candidate, these are the people that show up at the caucuses. They're the ones that pick the candidates. Or if the delegates to our state convention, and Jamar, you've been there. You know that those delegates, they come from all over the state. They're the ones that put their stamp of approval on the candidate, and they're the ones that are ultimately have to answer for it. Now, if you get past that point and you've got someone that's running that is clearly crossed a line, then yeah, as a state party chair, it is incumbent upon you to take some kind of action. Now, I can't give you just a rubber stamp action, It would depend on what the issue is. But if they've clearly crossed a line and it's beyond delegate control, then yes, it is incumbent upon you. We saw Jennifer Carnahan do that. There was a few years back
when
when we had there was a number of inappropriate sexual allegations that came up against some of our members. One of them, I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to dig up old dirt. Right. But this came out as about maybe 4 years ago, and immediately she came out and these were seated legislators. These were committee chairs. I'm sorry about this camera.
No, that's good. You're good. You're fine.
Yeah. These were seated, party chairs or committee chairs. One of them was, and she came out and said, "You got to resign." And he did, if I remember correctly. He stepped down. He was done because he clearly crossed the line. So yeah, that is part of your job, but you need to be the last. You need to be the person of last resort. The first people that do that need to be the people that put them there in the first place.
So let me ask you this, Jim, because I know you don't got all day. So let me ask you this too. You talked about being a paramedic, and I guess, can I say the place? You can't. Can I say it? You don't want to say it?
Yeah,
period?
Go ahead.
I can say it. Okay. Hospital. You were a paramedic at North Memorial for a while, which is, as I've told you before, when you were running against my guy, it's technically in Robbinsdale, not in North Minneapolis, but we tend to think so because we drive into, but it's Robbinsdale. But I've heard Carnahan and I've heard other candidates talk about being a big tent, having a big tent, being big tent Republicans. I think that only means encompassing a few gays is what I think that you guys think that means. There is no relationship with black folks, period.
Well, then, how do you explain that to Carlton Crawford? He's our deputy chair. He's black man.
I met Carlton. Please, okay, yeah, okay.
I like him. I think he's a great
Carlton. If Carlton drives to North Minneapolis, he'd probably have dark tinted windows and have a driver with him. He probably wouldn't drive down North Minneapolis and stuff. I met Carlton. Okay, no, he's not. No. I like him, but no, he's not a brother. Check this out. So
did you just say he's not a brother?
Well, you can.
And then what about Chris Fields? Chris Fields was a.
You guys ran. Okay. What about Chris Fields? You guys, as a party, ran the guy off. He had ideas. He wanted to build relationships. Well, I mean, but let's keep it real. A lot of Republicans, because he was a strong-willed and iron-fisted guy that wanted results. He got ran out of the party, and then to me, I thought Jennifer Carnahan. So let me finish here, Jim. I thought Jennifer Carnahan would be great for the party because I thought she would bring in minorities. She didn't put them in any high positions, and again, there's not a lot of minorities in your candidates. The Somali and Arab Americans, they are conservative minded, but again, they won't come out publicly as Republicans because they'll be ostracized. Why? Because of the certain people that you run, i.e. Donald Trump. But if you don't have a relationship with black folks, which again your party does not, we don't see you guys till about this time of the year during an election cycle. No one has an office in North Minneapolis. Nobody has an office in South Minneapolis. If you don't have a relationship with black folks, how in the hell do you guys expect to win statewide? Because you don't have a relationship with folks, Jim. How can you win as party chair? As your job as party chair, what will you do to build those relationships?
I'm going to door knock the north side. You got to start. You can't just. You don't go from meeting. I'm going to make an analogy here. You don't go from meeting a girl on one day and getting married to her the next. Well, okay, some people.
I was just going to say, hey.
Okay, get past that. In the way, yeah, I know what you guys are thinking. Just shut up. But seriously speaking, if you meet someone, it takes time to develop a relationship, and then it takes time to agree that you're going to get into a commitment, and then to make that commitment, and then you work to keep that commitment. And I'm willing to start that relationship. I'm willing to go knock on doors. And you know what? You can go with me.
Jim,
you ain't gonna get my black card taken from me.
So Jim,
I tried with Barnheiser. That didn't work.
I've known of you. I've been involved in party politics since 2006. I've been Senate District Chair. I was chair of the College Republicans. I've worked for different candidates. I actually usually volunteer with Carlton Crawford and some of the other guys from the 5th Congressional
Carlton
District
Crawford. That's how you talk.
Hey man, Carlton is a great man. He's a very smart guy.
Super smart.
He's articulate, right?
So I have nothing to me and Carlton.
He seemed like a very cool dude. I enjoyed meeting him.
A lot of conversation, mad respect for him.
I bet I've never seen him in North Minneapolis either.
I do like deputy sergeant at arms stuff too.
Our candidate for CD5, one of our front running candidates, is a black woman.
Yeah, Cicely. And so for me, right, I disagree fundamentally with Jamar on certain aspects. Obviously, I'm the black Republican on the show. I personally, I don't like identity politics. So like when I say, do you have, like, you know, Jamar asked everybody, do you have any people of color on your campaign? Do you have any black men, any black females? I always say, if you are trying to find someone to fill that niche, I think it's hard to say that you are going along with conservative values, because we look at the individual, right? So for me, what I have done and what I've advocated for the party is that it's not that we have to go and find black people to get involved in the party. I think that we need to find our message and tell people what our message is. And what I've come up against when I've talked to different party officials is that the smart money is on driving out rural voters, where, you know, that's I understand that just from a numerical standpoint. But there's been this kind of lean away whenever money is involved to actually try and put some money into just outreach in communities that we haven't traditionally done well in. And me and Jamar have had a lot of candid conversations. And so what I guess I would ask you is that, you know, you're running to be party chair. The things that are entailed, you know, God bless anybody that runs to be party chair, because it is a job that we couldn't survive as a party, because I'm a strong believer in the MNGOP without having a party chair. But I personally would never want to be chair, and you can cue that up, put that down somewhere. You'll never see me run for chair, because I know what goes into it, and my goodness. So what I want to ask you is that, with everything that has kind of happened, there's a lot of grassroots activists that still feel very strongly that maybe Jennifer didn't get a fair shake. I have very strong feelings on the other side, saying that, you know, bad leaders need to step down, even if their intention wasn't X, Y, or Z. If you're hurting the party, you got to move on, because our brand, our party, the MNGOP, we already have a tough row of things because we're in Minnesota. Right. So I would ask you, like, for you, do you feel that you have to kind of push to rebrand the party, or do you have any, you know, ideas of how to reach out to some of these communities where we're not going to win, but if we can peel 1 or 2% away from the Democrat or the DFL? I just kind of want to know that aspect for you. How do you see that that's something that you're going to try and work on or not work on?
That's absolutely a priority. I mean, right now, the number one issue, I just got done talking to a friend of mine, and he's also a mutual friend of yours. I'm not going to say his name because he didn't give me permission, but you guys know who he is.
Yeah,
he lives on the north side. I believe he's off of Dowling and Fremont, that area. You know what we're talking about, right? Yep. And hey, there's a game that I love to play. You give me any address on the north side, and I can tell you exactly how to drive there from memory. I got the entire map in my head. I love that. That's how many years I spent there. But he will tell you, and I asked him today, I said, are you safe? Do you feel safe? He said, no, I don't. And the violence that the people that live there have to endure is wrong. It's unthinkable. And they just want to be safe. That's the number one thing. They want to be safe. And this whole concept of safety is something that we're going to reach out to people with and say, you know, are there problems with the police? Yes, absolutely there are problems. Do they need to be corrected? Yes, they do. But you know what? We don't sacrifice your public safety in the process. We make sure that the police are supported. We make sure that the community is supported. We work together on both sides. But safety, I believe, is the number one issue that a lot of people that live on the north side, and when I talk about the north side, I also talk about Brooklyn Center, and then you can also you can say the community even goes up as far north into the lower half of Brooklyn Park. Safety is a huge issue. And these people are going to say, you know what, I just want to be safe. And if the Republican Party is going to be the ones that make that happen for me, you know what, I'm going to vote for those guys. Absolutely. Safety right there is the number one issue. That's how we, if we can get our message out there that's one of our core priorities, that's going to resonate with people. It absolutely is.
Okay, Jim, you've got we got about actually 4 minutes here before your time expires. We're two quick questions. To you, was what happened to George Floyd, was that murder?
Yes.
It was murder. Great.
Yeah, it was murder.
It was murder.
I believe it was from what I saw, and I saw the videos that were out that the whole world saw. From my point of view, that's what it looked like. If you can show me something that I wasn't on the trial, I wasn't on the jury, I didn't see any of the other evidence, but looking at that, to me, murder. Yeah,
I like that. And so the second question is this here: if you become the chair, and actually they need a strong candidate. They really do need a strong candidate, and someone like yourself that is accessible and willing to work with folks. If you become party chair, will you elevate minorities to positions of power in the party, and then help usher in a real big tent that involves and reflects folks of color to run for public office?
I'm going to reach out to anyone that wants to work with us. And that's not me just saying, that's not me blowing smoke around the room. I don't care what color you are. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your gender is. If you share our values, I'll work with you.
So you'll work with a gay, pro-choice, black person.
Well, I would work. Do they share our values?
I mean, obviously, maybe not being pro-choice, but
if they're pro-choice, they probably don't share our values.
Well, but what if they share other values that you share? Then
you evaluate each person as an individual, and you don't stereotype.
Okay, so let's say he or she isn't gay. Again, will you elevate somebody? And I say minorities, but I give a damn about black folks. Will you elevate somebody black in a position of power? She went through 6 EDs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Will you name at least a black? I know. Will you name a black person? And I'm not trying to Joe Biden you, but I'm asking because it's important.
No, I agree.
As AK just said, I always ask, and I'm asking you the same thing too. I mean, but this is a different position, so I know you don't have to have a staff. But I asked the most relevant question. If you're going to ask for my vote, I want to know what your plan for black folks, right? So again, if you're elected, will you work extremely hard to make sure that you elevate somebody of a black into the position?
Let me put it this way. I want to be able to serve all communities, the minority community, the black community, the Asian community, you name it. If I've got to choose between two people, one is super qualified, and let's say it's a white woman, and one is not very well qualified, and let's say it's a black woman, okay? Which one of those two people is going to help the black community better? I'm going to go with the greater good. If I'm going to try to reach out to the black community as a whole, and let's say I've got an Asian female that is extremely well gifted in doing that, I'm going to pick that Asian female. I'm not going to I'm a firm believer in what one of my favorite Republicans, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, said. Let's judge people by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin.
I love it.
And I'm gonna look at these people and I'm gonna say, this is the community we're trying to reach. Let's say it's North Minneapolis. Okay. Everything between Dowling and Lowry. Okay. I just love the north side.
So I see.
So let's say we're, for conversation's sake, that's who we're trying to reach. Okay. And I got 3 people sitting in front of me. My overall objective is to help who's going to help this group of people the most. And I don't care what you look like. I want the best person for the job to help as many people as possible. So if that person's black, absolutely. If that person's Asian, absolutely. If that person's American Indian or white, absolutely. It all depends on who can help the most people of the community we're trying to reach out to. Now, oftentimes you want to get a match for that community. If the community is predominantly Asian or black or Latino, then your best choice might be to go with someone that matches that community. But they also have to be able to reach that community. And if they can't reach that community, then you're wasting your time.
Jim, I'm going to just ask you this too again. So sure. you when you get elected, because I hope you do, when you get elected, I hope you call.
Pick on me.
I hope you call me, number one. I hope you call me and listen to what I say. But again, so will you continue to be accessible? Will you not be this behind the desk type of chairperson?
I have always been exceedingly accessible. One of the things that makes me absolutely nuts is people who get elected or hired to a position of authority and then they shut their door. You know what? That's not me. That's not who I am. That's just not who I am. And if God blesses me and I get this position, I will be more than happy to come into your studio live, and you guys can pick at me for a whole hour.
Oh, I will. Don't tell me that.
We'll have a good time.
Honestly, Jim. Jim, honestly, I don't know a lot about you personally. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
For me, I'm a person that understands that there is a vast and wide difference between grassroots people, folks that understand the grassroots, and if you want to say like the boutique shop Republicans, that they're good at raising money. They know they have this image that they want to portray that is carefully crafted. And I can tell, Jim, that you're a grassroots guy because you're not afraid to confront and have conversations, because that's what grassroots is about. You answered that question, and I was hoping you would answer it that way, because I've had that question put to me so many times, and you stand by your convictions, even if someone might say, well, Jim, you don't, you're racist, or if you think that the world's colorblind, you're whatever, but you stand by your convictions. And that's what grassroots folks do. Folks that aren't grassroots, they will bend and tip, and honestly, when it comes to trying to reach people from communities that we don't have a good impact in, the thing that they respect more than anything is being genuine. They still might clown on you and say that you have stupid ideas, but at least if you're honest, they like that versus someone that they know is blowing smoke up their ass. So I appreciate that a lot, Jim. I really do.
No, listen, I appreciate you, Jim, too. I mean, I met you back in 17 already? What was that? 17, I think it was
17.
And again, you ran a vigorous campaign. I honestly didn't believe you were the right guy for the guy. But now that in hindsight, neither was the guy I was working for either. But okay, forgive me for that. But what I liked about you then is, I swear, you and I, when I got in your face, Jim, you talked. You wanted to communicate, and you came and found me in the convention where we talked a lot that night, and you reached out to me. So I do appreciate that, and so I do believe that you are the one candidate and the one that would be the party chair that we would see you in North and South Minneapolis and in those areas of trying to build relationships. And that's what's so important to me. I don't think the other guys will, because they always chalk it up to being Democrats and we can't win those people. I know you do. That I believe that you don't think that, and I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks. All right, we got to play my game. Just give me any random address on the north side. As long as it's not on Ilion. Okay.
You want to? Yeah. I mean, well, give me an address over there on Ilion. Then he said Ilion.
No, that's all goofy. By Hillside, don't get me up there.
Well, I mean, hell, I don't know, Jim. I mean, give me an address off of 26th and Logan.
26th and Logan. So if you're coming from Robbinsdale, you're gonna go down Lowry. You're gonna take a right on Logan. You're gonna go down. Exactly 5.5 blocks, and there you are.
That's legit.
Jim, man, you got to come. Hey, we got to have you back on in a couple of weeks and sitting right there in this chair to talk to you again. And I appreciate you tonight for coming on. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. Good luck, man.
Hey, have a good night, Jim.
Take care.
Wow, I mean, honestly, he would be a good chair for you guys. I think that I do think that Jim is an accessible dude and has all. He's pretty truthful. I think he gets construed where North Minneapolis and Robbinsdale meet. He doesn't know that that's not in North Minneapolis.
Yeah.
But I do think that of all the candidates that I run in, I don't see any of those dudes coming to North Minneapolis or even putting an office or South Minneapolis. You don't got to put in North, but how about South, Southeast, Northeast?
Yeah.
But those aren't the areas where the most poverty is, right? And that's why we're being specific about either North or South Minneapolis. I do believe Jim would do that. I do believe you would continue to see Jim. I think Jim would have a Jamar or somebody else, the person that he named, like a Laverne, on his team, call and asking, is this the right thing? Come out and help me. I do believe that about Jim.
Yeah, the thing that's always interesting, and kind of me and you, we talked about this before, and I tried to point this out to other folks. I think that sometimes Democrats, progressives, they can get mixed up when the question is, will you bring someone on? Will you make a concerted effort to bring people of color or people that you feel have a disparate impact or that the party has to win on? And I think that there's this pull to want to say the thing that people want to hear. So for me, because I'm a guy that stands on these convictions where I don't define individuals in group identity, and that's just conservatives in general. So what I like to hear is, hey, our problem is that we have a disconnect with certain communities. Like there's zero defending that we're greatly known and people know. So it's about, if you really are about growing the brand and growing the tent, that you got to be able to walk and chew gum. You still have to be able to turn out voters that are low propensity. These are Republicans that, they might not even be considered like, reliable voters. Maybe they only vote every 10 years, every 16 years. So you still got to get those folks turned out. So you can't put 100% of your resources into doing what we're talking about and what we're suggesting, but you still got to put some type of effort into trying to really grow that brand because it pays dividends. And that's what the reality is that there's so many folks that are afraid, they don't understand, and they're not willing to learn. Like, I don't fault you. If you grew up in, upper middle class America and you grew up in a suburb, I don't fault you if you don't know something.
Well, then ask somebody, get educated.
Exactly. Get educated. That's what I fault you on. If you're like, well, I don't know this community, so I'm just going to kind of hands off and hand it to someone else or whatever, roll up your sleeves, get up in there, and you're going to learn a lot about life, man. And
I didn't want to do this when we had a guest on, I didn't want to,
Well, you know what, man? We're talking on, we talk a lot about Minneapolis stuff because it's something that's very important to the show. And specifically, we've talked a lot about, crime. And, just today, I, got a notification on Facebook or whatever. It was like a CCO story or Fox 9 or something like that, saying that the fourth child in the last 4 months has been shot in North Minneapolis, and it's the third child to unfortunately die, man.
That's right. Just this afternoon, shortly before 4 o'clock this afternoon, two students. The way I got it is the bus was being followed by someone. When the bus came to the stop, they had alerted the police because they knew that something nefarious was going on with the being followed. They came to a particular stop. A student got off. They started engaging in a fight when someone, a relative or someone that one of the fighters knew, then ran up and shot a 12-year-old who was in critical condition up until he died about an hour ago. Bro, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
There are no words that one could find to explain that this is the fourth child shot since April 30th and the third to die. I don't understand, and I don't mean to be naive. I'm not trying to be Pollyanna, but I still don't understand how whatever happened to fights like this was just happening.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you got your tail kicked, you hey, we would come back.
Yeah,
dude, I'm 5'4".
You brawl it out.
I'm coming back. If you whoop me, I'm coming back because I bet not go home with a bruise on my desk. Boy, who beat you up? I'm trying to be nice. He'd say something else, right? You better go back, right? So, and I've started fights. As a parent of 4, I got one son, bro. And remember, my friend, she lost her son, their only child, a boy. I'm not strong enough to go through that. I don't want to know what that feels like, bro.
Yeah. We
have got, and what's even more amazing, bro, is that the city council is putting on the ballot in November of a flat out, basically, of a disbanding the Minneapolis police. Dude, how many times do I have to show folks that on the side of my head right here, and excuse me, I don't have a haircut till tomorrow. Okay. But on the side of my head here, this gash that I took stitches in my head, and that came from the Minneapolis police. I should be anti-police. and I was for a long time, bro. We're at 61 or 65. I think depends on who I've seen. So we're at 60 plus murders now with this child dying.
Yeah.
And you wanna demolish. What's all the words they're using? Demolished, expand. What's the whatever the words they're using? The police department.
Yeah.
Strong reform is so needed.
Sure. Yeah.
Strong, not just reform. Strong reform is needed. You want a police department that looks and reflects the constituents that they are supposed to protect. You want a police department. We as constituents deserve respect. Just because we live on 16th and Russell, and you might deem it to be a bad neighborhood. Not everybody in that neighborhood is bad. Those are hardworking homeowners, or hardworking renters that work their tails off.
Yeah.
To think that you want to get rid of a police department, because that's in earnest what will happen is they say that a public safety department will be created, and if a police force is needed, then one will be created.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the crazy thing. You know, there's been a lot of this back and forth. You know, I've had plenty of criticism for Mayor Fry, but I think that at least, you know, for him,
this is good too,
he's at least been pushing back and filed the suit saying that the ballot question was super confusing. And first a judge, I think, didn't make a ruling, and then another judge made a ruling. But the point is that this ballot question is all about giving the city council the ultimate control to reshape what law enforcement or policing looks like in the city of Minneapolis without having a concrete plan. So how are you going to say, we're going to get rid of this thing? We don't know what it's going to look like. We can't give you the specific plans, but we know it's going to be better than this.
Well, they want you to reimagine.
Right.
Reimagine.
And that's just, how do you reimagine when you already have Minneapolis police down a bunch of officers, you got all these other things going on. And that's the thing, is that at the end of the day, when you want to be so convicted in your ideology that you're willing to experiment with people's lives because you think that this thing is going to happen, like, it's wild to me, man. It truly is. You know, when you want to go and you want to be the most progressive or the first in your, you know, in your circle to be able to accomplish this thing, to make these very radical fundamental changes in the middle of arguably one of the highest crime waves that we've had when it comes to homicides and violent crimes, like, that's the wrong time to do it, man. And so, like, it's just wild. So I mean, you know, prayers to the families again of all these people that have been affected, but especially these children, man. Because I mean, my nephew just turned 15. I got a niece at 17. I have a total of 12 nieces and nephews, bro.
Ooh, you think you're Santa Claus?
And then I got my best friend has 8 children. So I mean, this got kids all over, and it's just crazy because I think about the 12-year-olds. You know, like, you know, my niece is 12, and I can't imagine that she's arguing with someone, and then a 16-year-old comes walking out or whatever, and then ends their life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. Like, I remember getting into fights. Like, we used to box all the time.
You got jumped.
See, bro, listen,
right?
I grew up in the middle of, you know, small town North Dakota, but I grew up basically 10 miles, 14 miles away from Fort Totten, which is on the Spirit Lake Reservation, right? And so, like, a lot of the cats that I ran with, you know, I ran with a tough crowd. So we used to, like, we'd post up. We had a middle school called Central Middle School.
What would y'all do?
We post up. There's a library right across from the middle school, and we would just hang out there when we were in like 6th, 7th grade, and we would scrap with people, man. We'd be like, you know, it'd be like us 5 versus this 5, and you scrap it. You know, people sometimes would like pull out like a bladed weapon or something like that, and you'd be like, that's crazy, but it'd be like a small pocket knife type of thing. But to imagine that someone pulls a strap and starts busting, that's crazy.
Look, and I was a gangbanger, okay?
Yeah.
And bro, we didn't go to your house. We didn't kill women. Girls went to each other's house to fight each other. Girl, come on outside.
Yeah.
That was the norm.
Oh yeah, getting jumped.
Right?
That was a thing, right? Like, cause we had this little night. It was a nightclub, but it was like I think it was like
and Fighters Club.
It was under 18, right?
Yeah.
And it was called Cell Block 91. That was the name, Cell Block 91. In my little tiny town of like 7,000 people, right? And so like that's where everybody went Friday and Saturday. And so if you had beef with someone, it's like, all right, meet you at Cell Block 91.
Yeah. And
you
y'all would box it out.
Yeah, you might get
and then your
stomped
friends, if your kinfolk was with you, you didn't fight one-on-one because you weren't supposed to, because you was gonna get your butt kicked if at the reunion if you heard that your cousin didn't fight with you. But those days are gone.
Right.
Those days are long gone, bro. We are killing women and children, literally.
Yeah.
This is not Chicago. I keep saying that, and I know some folks might get pissed off, but then I tell you look at Chicago.
Yeah.
This is a place that's not supposed to be like this, bro. I don't care if it's South Minneapolis or North Minneapolis, And again, we can go back to when they talk about the crimes bill. So right now, let's say the crimes bill didn't exist. If a candidate, if a Joe Biden brought it up now, there would be people on board saying, you know what, I'm for that. And guess what? This Negro would be saying the same thing too.
You want to know what I think, though? I think you're half right. Maybe. Because the problem is, man, and this is the thing that happens with Democrats that y'all are so bad at realizing is...
What would that be?
So on the right, we'll call out people that are, we'll call it like the alt-right, like the real alt-right, like the Spencer whatever, right? Like the dudes that are like, we're white nationalists. Like the right will call that out and be like, that is garbage, that is trash, we expel you.
You might call it out.
The vast majority of people on the right. But on the left, you guys don't call out the crazy left progressives.
Of course we do.
The ones that go that far. What are you talking
about?
You got Cori Bush, bro. Cori Bush.
You think that sister is a radical?
She
no, she's not.
She wants to abolish the police. She
Listen,
keeps on talking
we
about.
We disagree with that, but again, bro,
you're making excuses for.
No, I'm not. I think you misconstrue what an excuse in reality, bro. I was just going to give you an example of Ilhan Omar. You guys talk about what she says is anti-Semitic, and I asked you all to back up. This is a lady that is experienced, comes from a war-torn country, has a whole different experience with the people that she's talking about. She's raised differently versus those folks that she talks about. It's not anti-Semitic if she tells you that she believes that Jewish folks buy up this and buy up that and have the power.
That is anti-Semitic.
It is not. So
that's like saying black people love, chicken and watermelon. That's racist too.
So it's been racist to say that white folks have more money, they have more power. That's racist too, or is that true?
If you're giving an anti-Semitic trope of that Jewish people are rich and they control everything,
Jewish folks are rich.
But that richness that they are so concerned about the money.
She don't
that's
have,
what Hitler
she
said.
Doesn't
literally.
have. She doesn't. We're not talking Hitler. We're talking Ilmar. Her folks, Palestinians, have problems with Jewish. They do.
Do Palestinians have problems with Jewish people? Yes,
they do. Yeah. So okay. So what I'm saying too, but back to my original point again, bro, is you got to step back, and that's what you all don't do. So sometimes Democrats are bad at messaging. We let you guys get away with that. But I tell you what, I dare you guys to run on this abortion thing. We want that fight.
Fine, but I'm saying when I said that you guys do such a bad job at ostracizing the very radical
what she said though, she's a black woman that has black sons, that has black brothers, that has had bad experiences with police officers. So if she wants to demolish or disband a police department, I can understand it. We don't agree on that.
Yeah, but
she has a right to feel that way. She has a right to say, "Look, I want to be rid of her
position." And then
she has a position. She ran and won.
You're right
on that very thing that she's talking about.
And so you guys have her in the party, and then now
because we are a Big Ten, not you guys.
And now when you have in Minneapolis all these same types of folks like Cori Bush that have these very progressive ideas, and you're pushing back on it. I'm like, you're pushing back on it, and I give you mad respect. 100% because you're real and you're true, but you just can't go as far as to call out someone like Cori Bush and be like, yeah, she's completely wrong on this, but that's my point.
She is completely wrong. Let me help you then.
Right.
She's completely wrong on wanting to get rid of a police department in a city that has as high crime as hers.
Yeah.
Okay. She is wrong, but bruh, as a guy that's had his ass whooped by the Minneapolis police for no reason. I was sleeping in my home on my couch. They illegally raided my home.
Yeah.
Thank God for Keith Ellison. Seriously. Bruh, I too wanted to. I was F the police too.
Sure.
It's just what black folks and brown folks go through because we're tired of being bullied by a police department because we're of the color of our skin or the neighborhood we live in or the car I drive or or just being me. We want a police department that gives us respect, bro. And I understand what they say. I just don't want it around. I want a police department, but I want to support Chief Arredondo in his efforts to reform the police, and he's doing that. You all, well, I won't say you all, but some folks don't like it. But these little minute things that he's doing to me is an first of all, the expeditious firing of 4 officers never had been heard of in the country. Naming a police chief that did such an expeditious fire for what he deemed was murder. It didn't happen it never happened in this city, in this state. So that to me says he's for reform, bro. He wants to hold officers accountable. So we got to respect that.
But the progressives that are on the Democrat Party,
they will lose.
That will vote. They still don't like Arredondo.
They don't.
And see, that's what's so wild to me.
But there's people like, even that's when conservatives, that's when you guys have got to put party aside, and because you live in the city, and join me and others in supporting us and pushing back and saying, look, we just had a kid killed 2 hours ago. Yeah. You want to get rid of a police department? Dude, I just heard the other day that in homicide investigators, you know how many homicide investigators there are now?
I have no idea.
There are 8 homicide investigators in the city of Minneapolis.
And that's why 88% of them are unsolved, because you got 8 people. Like, imagine that. That's crazy.
So that means they have like 84 cases.
Let me ask you this. I mean, you called out Cori Bush. You've obviously talked about...
Well, I didn't call her out, but I just said,
you said that you disagree with that.
I certainly do.
And then when it comes to Ilhan, she's also on the defund the police train as well.
She's wrong on that.
And so that's what's so wild to me is, like, who is she talking to? Who are they talking to in these communities that are being impacted, that they think that this is the right thing? What they're talking to is the people that are pushing these progressive things. And that's what's just wild to me, man, is that it's like if they went out up and down the street in those neighborhoods, right? Like, I know she represents all of the 5th Congressional District. It's a very wide and diverse district. You know, obviously she's tied in with the Somali community, but go walk over north and go talk to people and say, like, hey, so do you think we should just get rid of all the police? They're gonna be like,
you're gonna, but she's gonna run into some to say hell yeah, and then she's gonna run into some to say, I mean, dude, we know the 50 and older. That's not me, but the 50 and older, they are against being rid of a police department. But that kind of brings us to the topic that you want to talk about, that we talked about earlier with John Choi in St. Paul, saying that he will no longer prosecute felonies that come from pretextual stops. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm glad he did that, because now it makes what Representative Thompson says looks like true. And it also should enlighten folks to what we are, as black men, have been saying for a long time, that these type of stops happen all the time, where you run into guys who have suspended licenses, and this might now be their 5th ticket, their 8th ticket, and then that turns into a gross misdemeanor, which turns into a misdemeanor, which now turns into a felony, because you can do a year and a day. You can actually do a year and a day after your first offense. You're going to have so much pushback from your party, who's going to call us anti-police, instead of respecting the fact that now this is a part of what reform looks like, because those pretextual stops, and most stops that are profiled, are by black people. Ben Crump just sued Beverly Hills. 99.9 of their stops they did, I think it was in a 6-month time or a year time, were black men, with the one exception being a Native American. So he's suing them because their stops came from racial profiling. Or you explain to me how 99 men were stopped and what for? Bro, it's not about being easy on crime, but it's about now realizing that there's no equity, and there needs to be a reading of injustice that happens in the system.
So there's so many things to say about this. So I think that the quest to want to have reforms and to change something, to have an impact, to be able to make a safer environment for everybody is a lofty and noble goal. 100% I agree with it. But the problem is like I said to you before, you have progressives that are creeping in that are being kind of ignored by those of you that know that they have radical, crazy ideas, to the point that you have these very progressive attorneys and police chiefs and all of these different actors that are deciding, in my opinion, to circumnavigate legislation.
They're not circumventing anything.
Who passes laws?
Legislators.
Right. Who enforces laws?
Yeah, but you mean to tell me are there bigoted and racist legislators?
Let's move all that.
Wait a minute, no. Move that to the side. Oh, really?
Yes, you have to.
When those laws are enacted to criminalize and imprison black and brown men, no,
you have to follow the legal process.
You change that stuff.
If you think there's a bad law, you go and you lobby and you change it. Cops are supposed to enforce laws, but now here's where we're at.
And if the law change, and if your boss tells you to change to look aside a law or stop profiling black and brown men, where you get these petty weeds.
That's not what they're saying.
No,
they're not.
What's a pretextual stop?
A pretextual stop is, hey, that person, they're breaking a law, I'm going to pull them over. And chances are that if I pull them over, that it's going to lead to something else.
No, it's, hey, that's a black dude driving that nice car. Yeah, I'm going to pull that guy over.
That's illegal.
That's not legal.
That's illegal.
You're illegally racially profiling me. No. And then when you pull me over, you don't give me a ticket for speeding. You don't give me a ticket for the broken tail light. You don't give me a ticket
over because they're black. It's literally illegal.
They do, though. You know that. You know that happens, though?
So if your solution,
but do you know that happens? Do you admit that happens
from time to time? Oh, yes, of course it happens.
Whether it happens from time to time, but does it happen?
Yes, it happens.
Okay.
So then you root that out.
We're trying to.
You don't
by telling your officers to stop, because these AK, I don't know if you know, but the majority of those stops are black and brown people.
Yes, you want to know why?
And you guess what? There are no convictions, and they're petty crimes.
You said the Beverly Hills thing, right? I don't know if you've ever.
And not one of those cases were drug cases.
When you were in Cali,
not one.
When you were in Cali, did you go anywhere near Beverly Hills?
No.
Okay. Like just going on like a tour, right? And you want to go see Beverly Hills. My wife loves Beverly Hills 90210. Okay, so when we went to Cali, we went on this Hollywood tour, and like we're taking pictures, and we went to like the house that, whatever. It
was supposed to be shot at.
But like you're driving, right? And all of a sudden you're like straight hood, and then you cross one street, Beverly Hills. Okay? My point is, if you're in the hood and you're poor and you want to come up, are you going to rob other poor people? Or are you going to rob the people that got money? And so when I look at these statistics, and they talk about in
more often they rob the people that are around them. They don't go robbing rich people because they know that there's a stronger chance that they'll get caught and imprisoned and harshly imprisoned. They usually rob and sell drugs to the people that look like them and in their own neighborhoods.
Both. They do both.
Well, the majority happens in their own neighborhood.
But the point is that people that are poor, regardless of color, are more likely to commit these crimes, right? And that's just because the grind of being poor is you're a hustler, and you're gonna get out there and you're gonna hustle however you're gonna hustle, right? So when I look at that, I always have to ask questions. I gotta ask, okay, Beverly Hills PD, how many of their officers are black, people of color, whatever? And
4. They got 4 black officers.
Okay, and so the question is, do they have a history that they're pulling people up specific because of their race? Now they don't have that. They
don't have that history.
No. I'm saying.
I said you better ask Johnny Cochran.
I'm saying in this specific instance of Benjamin Crump, and in Minnesota, okay, when John Choi was giving this conference, he gave a couple of statistics. Mayor Melvin Carter gave the statistics. Said a black man in St. Paul is 4 times more likely to be pulled over than a white man. And all I say is, Four times more likely than what though?
Then his white counterpart that's driving the same Cadillac. Or same Benz, same BMW.
But 4 times of what?
What do you mean, bro?
So if there's a 1% chance that you're going to get pulled over, and it's 4 times more, that means there's a 4% chance. So you're talking about 1% to 4%. So I hate when politicians and these people trying to shape things will say misleading things, because 4 times sounds like a lot, but if 4 times of what? If you're saying that, okay, let's say that of all the people that got pulled over, okay, let's say that they look at the percentage of what percentage of the population is black, what percentage of the population is white, and we say that there's 4 times. Are they saying that like 80% of all stops are black? So they don't give those numbers, and I hate that. So I know that the show's almost done, and we were barely even able to get into this because I was so passionate. So check out my Facebook. I have a very long rant on it. I'm my individual, AK Kamara. But honestly, I want to talk about a couple of comments that folks had put out there. Rachel Williams, she is
she's our favorite. She's our
fave dog. She had some questions about the Freedom Fund.
Hey, Rachel, don't get me started on that. I think that's a BS fund. They're bailing out rapists, murderers. In fact, they just bailed out someone who just killed someone. So don't ask me about that. Okay,
we have to have a show talking about that type of stuff.
That's
too. That's
a BS fund.
Lisa said affirmative action. I don't think Jim Newberger believes in it. I would probably agree that Jim Newberger
he does not. You're right about that, Lisa. You're right about that.
She asked, Rachel then asked if we still agree with mandatory jabs. I don't know if she was talking specifically about Newberger or
mandatory jail
jabs.
I think she's.
Yeah.
I think she's throwing some shade from 2 weeks ago.
I got you.
Probably.
I got you.
We call them. Hey, Rachel, we don't say mandatory. We say require.
Require.
Okay.
I say mandatory.
We changed that. We say require. We say require now. But no, But I'm glad she brought it up. I'm glad you put that on my mind, because honestly, I was talking about that earlier. There's a lot of us that think about the Freedom Fund as, first of all, it's got the worst name. Then what do we say about the road to hell? What's it paved with?
Good intentions.
Good intentions. This was a fund that was created to bail out a lot of the protesters. Which was great.
That Vice President Harris tweeted out on Facebook. She supported it.
Well, but still,
back then,
I think again, it was a good intended fund to bail out, protesters that should be bailed out.
And then they're like, hey, we got $25 million. What should we do? And
$30 million and then $40 million.
And then they say all these progressives that your party hides that want to do all these radical fundamental things, and then they're like, let's just bail out everybody. Who cares what the crime is?
Listen, I would like to argue with you, and I will next week, but I do think that they bail out the wrong people. It has to be some type of vetting system put in place, better vetting system, because why are you bailing out murderers?
That's crazy.
Why are you even looking at a murderer? Unless
or even like violent crimes,
or again, exactly, rapists, sexual assault crimes. Or here's the thing: look at the case. If the case is like my word against that person's word, and it looks like they could be, that's a little different. But if there's hard evidence that he or she physically assaulted, physically raped, murdered someone, you don't bail that guy out. Your fund sucks, and black people and brown folks, we got to get together and help be rid of those type of funds. Man, an hour goes so friggin' quick, man. Especially when you got a guy like Jim Newberger.
Yeah, next week we got a journalist that turned whistleblower that blew up, and it'll be great to have that conversation. So definitely tune in next week. Going to be talking about media censorship, and for Jamar, this person came from Fox Corporation. Mm-hmm. So it's they weren't from some left wing that blew the whistle. They blew the whistle on Fox Corporation.
Well, I mean, I don't blame them, because I would like to blow the whistle on Fox too. I mean, come on, Rupert Murdoch.
And make sure that you guys head over to anchor.fm/BRBD. You'll be able to download a podcast to listen to later. Everybody that's watching, we appreciate every time you watch a show. Always make sure to share the show. Give us your comments. We always want to try and be interactive with y'all. If you guys like the show and like what we're doing, please head over to patreon.com/BRBD. You're able to make contributions to support our show, so we can bring in more guests. It'd be nice to be able to have guests come in that we can fly in, right? To have them in studio and do different stuff like that, and create more content throughout the week. But appreciate you so much, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, I'm Jamar Nelson.
I'm AK Kamara.
We'll see you next week with this whistleblower, huh?
That's right,
man. I can't wait for that.
All right, bro.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.